Lalis, we are going to get into the drama surrounding the Miami Heat. Unfortunately, both of us are repping the Miami Heat in our backgrounds, and it's not looking good. Jimmy Butler has been suspended by the Miami Heat for 7 games. He has thus far served 1 of those 7 games, but I don't know how you come back from that. If I had to guess, I think the organization is just going to send him home until they make a trade. And there's been a lot of commentary around who's at fault, who's most responsible, and a lot of people are taking up for Jimmy, saying that Pat screwed this whole thing up. Paul Pierce said this is Pat Riley's fault. Pat Riley is ruining Heat culture. Pat Riley ran Dwayne Wade and LeBron out of town. And now Gilbert Arenas is unmuting, also saying Pat Riley is screwing this up. Even going so far as to say that Pat Riley is you have South Beach to your advantage, but you use South Beach like a prison. So let's get into what Gilbert Arenas had to say. So this says former All-Star blast Pat Riley for running Miami Heat like a prison. Miami Heat president Pat Riley has earned considerable criticism for his recent handling of the Jimmy Butler trade saga. Few have unleashed on Riley the way former All-Star Gilbert Arenas recently did. Arenas ripped Riley on the January 6th episode of Gil's Arena, blasting the Hall of Famer for potentially pushing Butler out of Miami. The Heat suspended Butler last week for conduct detrimental to the team 1 day after he requested a trade. During his three decades in Miami, Riley has added multiple superstars, including Butler, Shaquille O'Neal, and LeBron James. Arenas doesn't expect many other All-Stars to willingly join the Heat anytime soon. So let's get to what Gilbert Arenas had to say here. So first, I'm gonna mute this so that I can get it full screen. I don't think Gil does copyright. I don't think.
Oh man, fair use, Gil. Come on, bro. Damn.
I think Gil still allows. Well, I don't know for a fact, but if not, I'll just go ahead and edit out the clip in post.
It's all good.
So here is what Gil had to say about Pat Riley and the way he runs the Miami Heat in relation to Jimmy Butler.
Fair use. Nick Young. Oh, come on, X.
Dude, don't
get with it
now. All right, let me back out and refresh this damn thing.
Yeah, one thing about Gil, man, he has really done a good job at making news.
Yeah, I mean, Elliot Wilson, I'm pretty sure hates Gilbert Arenas. All right, here is Gil and what he had to say about Pat Riley running the Heat.
We are Showtime. You're nobody. He was right. Yeah. He moved to the Knicks. He ain't doing nothing. He moved to Miami, right? He got Shaq. I mean, he got Dwayne Wade. He came and got Shaquille O'Neal. Then they brought a whole bunch of other players to help win. You can't pretend you that guy. It's them. Listen, you're not bigger than them. Yeah. You're pretending you are. See the interview? They left. LeBron came. They won a championship. You can't pretend you're bigger than LeBron. LeBron leaves, this shit crashes. Jimmy Butler comes. He gets you to the championship. If he tells you, bring me one more star, motherfucker, bring him one more star. Because if he can get you to the championship with this, bring me one more star, I got you. So for you to pretend that you are the Heat culture and you can do this, you're lying. Yeah. Because when he leaves, motherfucker, nobody's coming there. Nobody's coming to. You got South Beach in your favor. Yes. And you treat South Beach like it's a fucking prison.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. So, yeah, the article goes on to say, calling those comments harsh is like saying LeBron James is a future Hall of Famer. Gilbert Arenas condemned Riley for believing he's bigger than his players. Riley also called the ongoing drama a distraction in a December 26th statement announcing the Heat won't trade Butler. It's never a good sign when coaches or executives invoke the dreaded D word. Then again, distraction isn't as bad a word as prison in this case. Mm-hmm. So, what do you think, man? It looks like people in the media, particularly ex-athletes, are Team Jimmy here, and not Team Pat. What do you think about that?
Not surprised that the players are, ex-players are taking this angle on this. The first game of the suspension, the guys just did not show. I don't know what was going on, so I don't know if players on the team also felt that way. But and even as Heat fans, I'll speak for myself. I was critical of some of the moves or lack thereof that Pat Riley has done over the past decade. He has a very interesting way of acquiring talent, and it's very traditional, and in the sense that it's either strictly through draft or undrafted free agents, and he doesn't really do too much offseason splash play. He really doesn't do too much trading either. If he does trade, it's very minimal, very uneventful, and just moving pieces around predominantly for salary. He's also made some questionable, um, uh, re-signings of players, giving people absorbent amounts that I don't feel as though deserved it. So he has made some questionable plays as GM. I'm not going to sit here and act like he didn't. Just in the past two off seasons, in particular, I agree with Gil in the sense that we're sitting there messing around getting to the finals with a roster that no other team could do that. So if Heat culture is so good, to take a mediocre team, a team that just barely qualified for the play-in game, to go all the way to the NBA Finals, why not bring in one more player to push you guys over the hump to actually win the damn thing? So I agree with that. But the part about this that I think is a bit of a reach is the running it like a prison. I feel as though Pat does represent an old guard in the NBA, hell, just in sports in general, but particularly in the NBA where the players don't run this organization. The organization runs the organization. But everybody knows that Pat Riley is the Don. He is the mafia leader of the Miami Heat. And whatever he says goes. And he does run it with an iron fist. And he has a way of viewing reality that other people don't view it. And I don't want to say he's a egocentric person like other people would like to throw out there. I think he really thinks that there's a particular way things need to get done, and it's very rigid. And if it's not like that, he don't want it at all. And so, for him, for Pat to put his foot down and not allow Jimmy to tell him what to do, I'm 100% for that. I don't. If things were the way that Jimmy Butler and other players want it to be, the Heat would be no different than any other organization out there, where the players are running it, demanding trades, demanding super teams, and getting rosters flipped for no reason. Look at the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns just benched Bradley Beal.
Also, let me interject one because you forgot one thing.
What's that?
Also, firing coaches all the time.
Firing coaches all the time. Thank you. Yes, because Spo's been there for over a decade, but Spo, people would argue that he's one of the best coaches in the NBA. But that's because there's a system in place where talent is being developed, and Spoelstra was developed. So I don't have a problem with his rigid way of doing things per se. I think that it's needed more in the NBA in particular. And then so when the players are actually running the team, then you get situations like the Phoenix Suns where they're just stacking everything on top of each other because they think it looks good on paper. But in practicality, it makes no sense. Same thing happened with the Brooklyn Nets. Same thing going on with the Clippers. I mean, you can point from example to example in the NBA where the players are choosing to go where they want to go, telling the organization how much they want to get paid, telling the organizations how much they want to play. And at that point, for whatever reason, the organizations are bending the knee. And now these organizations are getting run into the ground. So as long as Pat Riley's around, the Heat, whether the roster looks good or not on paper, is going to be competitive because of the nature and how things are being run. So Pat Riley is indeed Heat culture if you want to go that way, Gil. But I don't think it's a prison. It may be a prison to people who want to do anything they want and have no responsibilities like the rest of the NBA is. And that's why predominantly reason why, well, one of the reasons why the viewership is going down, because the players don't care. The Heat play hard, at least traditionally have. And so it would just be nice to have more talent to watch play that hard in Miami. So the reasons why Pat probably didn't make certain moves or whatever, he probably didn't like the personalities. And he just didn't want those people in his locker room. Probably. But I would just say that, yeah, of course, Gil represents the new wave of athlete, the new player empowerment type of people who want things their way and they want it now. Ice cream for breakfast. And Pat is saying, nah, you're eating broccoli and you're eating Brussels sprouts. And if you want to call this house a prison, so be it. We're going to the playoffs again with a roster that doesn't look like it should. So, but Pat does need to make moves though. But what are your thoughts on Gilbert saying that Sir Pat Riley is running a prison down on South Beach and he doesn't know what the hell he's doing?
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I think that's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Suggesting that I don't think anyone's going to associate anything like that with the Heat. But that's the thing, is the presence of order and structure and rules at this point automatically by default means prison for some people. and Gilbert Arenas, yeah, he's one of those guys who's always going to be, in his eyes, players can always do no wrong and management can do no right. A guy can make $300 million a year and Gilbert Arenas will still get on this podcast saying that the player is underpaid. Like, that's the kind of person Gilbert Arenas is. All pro player all the time, all anti-management all the time. You can give a player all of the amenities in the world, let them play a schedule that they want to play, and give them a super max contract, that's 100% guaranteed with a no trade clause. And they don't have to ever play back-to-backs and don't ever have to play road games. And Gilbert Arenas will still say that they're not being treated good, that they're not being treated well enough. So he's just ultimate pro player guy. He's ultimate pro player guy. So I can understand him being ultimate pro player guy. I get why he would say such a thing, but I, of course, don't agree with that. I think most players in the league would love to play down here. It just has to be for the right price. Guys don't want to play for free. And Pat Riley, why would Jimmy Butler be Heat culture? He just got here like 4 years ago. Like, Pat Riley is Heat culture. He's been the constant.
Right.
So anyone who asserts that there's a misconception as to what Heat culture is because it's actually Pat Riley and that's the problem, I would say you're right, but that isn't the problem. That's actually the solution. Because one thing you can say about Jimmy Butler, he's not won a championship, and Miami Heat as an organization have won 3 championships and have been to the finals 2 more times after that. So there's a history and a track record of postseason success that Jimmy Butler as an individual player hasn't enjoyed as much of up until he got here. He wasn't really going deep into the playoffs with Chicago. He wasn't really going deep into the playoffs with Minnesota. And he went deep into the playoffs once with Philadelphia. And all 3 of those instances, it ended with him being upset and mad and being cancerous. So he's the common denominator in terms of the fact that he has been involved in situations that ended poorly. throughout his career. And it appears as though this is going to be a yet another entry into the book of Jimmy Butler being upset and demanding out. And he's the common denominator in that. That's not Pat Riley's fault. Like the Heat, quote unquote, being run like a prison is independent of the fact that Jimmy Butler seems to run hot with every team he ever plays for. There seems to be an expiration date. And I don't think that's Pat Riley's fault. That's a Jimmy Butler issue. That's not a Miami Heat issue. Furthermore, I will also say I hear where you're coming from with the way that the Miami Heat as an organization throughout the vast majority of my lifetime has been run outside of the Shaq, D Wade, and LeBron, Wade, and Bosh years. Everything that I just said is not necessarily to defend Heat culture, because I personally believe Heat culture is the worst thing that could have ever happened to the Miami Heat organization. I think Heat culture came from mediocre rosters overachieving. That's where this mantra of Heat culture came from. And a lot of that ammunition came out of the Heat getting into the Heat making it to the finals in 2020 and the Heat making it to the finals again in 2022 or 23, whenever that was, we went against Denver. Those rosters were below average, in my opinion. They were mediocre.
Very much.
But the Heat were able to take advantage of, in my opinion, a few lucky breaks. The Celtics short-circuited. I can't explain that. Giannis going down with an injury in the opening round, the first round. And then, 2020, honestly, I look at 2020 as a weird year. I personally don't even count. I don't really count anything that happened in sports in 2020 personally. I just don't. I'll look at it as a weird outlier of a year. That bubble to me was weird. Half the teams didn't go. The other half, of the teams that did go, half of that were teams that weren't competing for playoff spots, but still wanted to get more burn. So they reported. And then when you eliminate important variables like home court advantage and crowd and travel, I just kind of throw 2020 out the window personally. And that's one of the years where the Heat went to the championship. So I'll bring all that up to say that, 2020 and I think 2022 are years, not 2022, 23, are years that are cited as evidence of the emergence of Heat culture. Look at what we can do so long as we coach up, bring guys up from the G League, and draft right. We can get to the finals. Well, you're using 2 years of lucky breaks as your example of why Heat culture is a thing. Ordinarily, that's not going to work. So you're operating off this idea that you can just coach up and bring guys out of the G League and put championship rosters together. And it's a fallacy of a belief. It doesn't really exist. So I hate Heat culture. I don't like it. You have to make big splashes, and you do have to try and be viable in free agency and on the trade market. You can't just think that you can do G League and draft guys and think that that's going to be enough. Like in today's NBA, you have to be viable in free agency and on the trade market. So from that standpoint, Pat Riley shares some of the blame in terms of the Heat as an organization not being as successful as they could have been in recent memory. Here is where I will say, though, that he is not the problem when it comes to the Jimmy Butler situation. I've been watching this team my whole life. I live in Miami. I watch every Miami Heat game that comes on television. 82 games a year, I watch this team. I have been watching every single game since Jimmy Butler got on the team. And I have watched Jimmy Butler sort of gradually, over time, flagrantly, obviously deprioritize the regular season. I've watched him do it. That's not Pat Riley's fault. Pat Riley didn't do that. That's not Pat Riley's fault. They went to the finals those 2 years with Jimmy Butler as the best player, and Jimmy Butler said, "I'm playoff Jimmy. I can turn it on in the postseason and otherwise coast and deprioritize the regular season. Once we get to the playoffs, I'll turn it on and we'll get to the finals again." He did that. Pat Riley didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why that has been a problem is because when you deprioritize the regular season like that, you're losing games you shouldn't lose because you really aren't putting forth maximum effort. You end up a play-in team or a team that's a lower seed when you could have played a little harder, tried a little more, played in this game throughout the season that you otherwise sat in. Maybe you get a higher seed and you have home court advantage and you have a more favorable matchup and you do get to the finals at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if you put forth better effort, you have a higher seed, you're playing a different opponent, and now you don't land on Giannis's foot and mess your ankle up, and now you're done for the rest of the playoffs. Or whoever we played when Jimmy got hurt last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Knicks is who we lost to in the second round.
Hmm.
But whoever we played in that first round, I think was it the Pacers? Whoever it was in that first round when Jimmy got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we don't have the same matchup. You don't hurt yourself, and we progress further because you're available. I believe in the butterfly effect. Who knows what would have happened throughout the course of that first round if we had a different seed and a different matchup.
Mm-hmm.
But you completely deprioritize the regular season because you think you're Jimmy Butler playoff Jimmy, which is reinforced by the fallacy of heat culture. And you find yourself a 7 or 8 seed or a play-in team. You got to play against the Hawks in the play-in first. Then you get into the playoffs and you get hurt. Pat Riley is not to blame for that, in my opinion. So I just don't buy the idea that Pat Riley did not give Jimmy Butler a contract extension. And yeah, he went into the press, the post conference, and he said, if you don't play in the games, shut up. Yeah, Pat Riley did do that. But why should that alienate Jimmy Butler? Bro, you didn't play in the games because you were hurt.
Yeah, so you need to shut up.
Yes. and in my opinion, I think that if it was a different seed and a different matchup, maybe you don't get hurt. And the reason why we didn't have a different seed and a different matchup is because we weren't a higher seed, because we lost way more games than we should have during the regular season, in part because you, as the galvanizing force on the team, deprioritized the regular season. Pat Riley sees this. That is the reason why he was like, we're not going to extend you unless you're playing. He sees you. If I, a fan, someone watching on TV, can see you deprioritizing the regular season, I'm pretty sure the president and GM of the team can see it too. So I don't really blame Pat for that. I blame Jimmy for that. And if right now the situation seems untenable and looks like he needs to be traded, so be it. There is an expiration date in every situation that he's been in throughout his career, and this is just the next chapter in the book of Jimmy Butler being a Cancer. It sucks that it ended this way, but I do not place all of the blame for that on Pat. Maybe some of it, but not all of that. The way that it has soured, in my opinion, is mostly Jimmy's fault. And where I will place the blame on Pat at Pat's feet is the way he runs the organization, thinking that you can just G League it up and draft it up and think you can get to the finals every year. And one area in which I will side with Jimmy is if Jimmy was insisting to the front office that they make moves and the front office was ignoring his request for them to be more active in free agency and on the trading block because the Heat think that they can just heat culture it up, then yeah. Pat, you did fumble that bag for sure. Because get out of this heat culture stuff, bro. Make splashes, get trades, and get good free agents. Like, I'm thinking that you can just do this in the perpetuity with these Duncan Robinsons and Jaime and Hayward Highsmiths and think that you can get to the finals off that. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. But with everything else, with Jimmy and his attitude and deprioritizing the regular season, that is on Jimmy. Jimmy deprioritizing the regular season does not mean South Beach and the Heat are being run like a prison. He should have put forth more effort during the regular season.
I mean, and I'll say this: as far as heat culture goes, I'm not a fan of what it turned into. I was a fan of it initially. Because before it was called heat culture, there was something in the back of my mind to say, hey, man, we just do things different over here. And I like it. And because I saw the rest of the league become what the league is now. And we didn't do that. We still play like an old school brand of basketball, even though it's modern with threes and stuff. We still play a tough form of basketball that the rest of the league wasn't. And I was like, man, I don't care. And so then it became commercialized. Once we made it to the finals when we shouldn't have, and through the channels that you mentioned, a lot of it was luck of the draw. People getting hurt. Certain this and that happened, and we just making it through. And on top of that, we're playing a league. We're playing against guys that ain't built like that, while we're still playing like a hard-nosed kind of basketball. And so we would beat teams that on paper, because some teams we beat it when they were healthy enough, still talent-wise better than us. I can name some of those Celtics teams that were still better than us, but on paper. But when it came to scheme and just playing tough and just having mental resiliency, we were just better. And so we would beat teams because of that. So I was in favor of that hard-nosed type of basketball, which the rest of the league doesn't seem to have anymore. And by going through our fire a lot, the Celtics got better. And that's they're a resilient team now. Jalen and Tatum, just that whole thing. And when they got Holiday that pushed them over and then White, like they play, they can get tough if they need to. So I say that to say is that I like what heat culture was initially before it was called heat culture.
Right, before it became a slogan.
Yeah, and when it became a slogan, now y'all wearing it on y'all jerseys. Now y'all got it on the court. It's like, hey, man, this is, I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
And because the culture part about it was that it wasn't commercial.
Yeah.
And now you're selling this thing as it's a thing. And I don't care for that. So I agree with that. But much like how Ohio State fans, they win 10, 11 games every season. They whoop everybody's ass. But if they lose against Michigan, it's a problem. Which it is. I'm not saying it's not. But they want to fire Ryan Day immediately. Hey, man, they win all these games. And they won all these games. They want to win national championships too. And I get that. But as soon as Ryan Day loses a game, it's a problem. Now, I don't know if Ryan Day sucks or not. I don't know if he's a product of Ohio State. But, you don't win 10 games every season because you suck. And my thing is who are you going to bring in? And who's going to replace this guy? Because the next guy y'all might turn into a Mississippi State. So y'all better be lucky. Yeah, y'all better be just count your whatevers and just one in the hand's worth two in the bush type of thing, and just hope that y'all can get over the hump. But at least y'all are very competitive. And my thing is that I don't really care for this Iron Fist. My brother hates. He doesn't hate Pat Riley, but he's been scorning this man for years, wanting him to, because he doesn't make moves in off season. You're just tired of him. And I'm like, hey, look, man. What's the other option? Who are we gonna bring in here? Unless there's some guy in the shadows that we don't know that's being groomed that has the mindset. Unless Spo goes into the office, and have somebody else coach, because so Spo can carry on the tradition. I don't know who the hell else we're gonna bring in there, but we might just turn into the rest of the NBA once Pat gone. And that's my thing. I say, hey, look, I'd rather take this than what the rest of the NBA is going through. So yeah, it kind of sucks on one hand, but it's kind of like, what's the other option here? So I agree with everything you say, especially the part where, playoff Jimmy and all this other stuff. Like he that's all him, man. Nobody tell you to be in some cowboy video, you know what I'm saying? Dressing all sassy and stuff and doing sassy. Nobody's telling you to do this. You know what I'm saying? But here he goes out here. Nobody's telling you to come to these press conferences like this. And so this guy, somewhere down the line, he started really feeling himself a little too much. Is the guy good? Is he effective when he's committed? Yes. But at the same time, I didn't care for the on-off switch, because to me, that's not what we do here. So yeah, man, I don't think I don't think Pat so much is running a prison. I don't think it's too strict. I feel like the rest of the league got too laxed. So somebody like Pat stands out like a sore thumb. But yeah, man. I'll take the good with the bad for what Heat culture has turned into. Because I don't know what the flip side of that looks like once Pat is gone. We might turn into, you know what I'm saying, the damn Pelicans. And Lord knows I don't want to see that. So yeah, man.
Yeah, I place most of this. I blame most of this on Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what Pat Riley said. See, people take issue with the fact that Pat Riley was like, if you're not on the court, shut up. And
Mm-hmm.
they felt as though Pat Riley was sunning Jimmy Butler and being disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
But my whole thing is that was said in response to the fact that my personal belief is that was said in response to what he's seen, which is the same thing I've seen,
I
which
thought
is
so.
which is throughout the regular season, Jimmy Butler does not really maximize on the team's opportunities to win games enough. That's where that came from. And he doesn't. He doesn't. You know, the first couple of years, I felt like he was all in.
Mm-hmm.
Once we went to the finals in 2020, it seems like after that,
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Butler became this playoff Jimmy guy,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, I'm a playoff performer. And in doing so, he just I'm not gonna say he completely stopped caring, but I'm watching I watch every game.
Mm-hmm.
It was clear to me that he deprioritizes the regular season.
100% to the point, and also to the point where he started just getting these injuries all the goddamn time.
Yeah, and he would do this thing where he's like not really trying to assert himself offensively.
Mm-hmm.
And if anyone asks him why his approach to the game is like that, his excuse is, I'm trying to get other guys up. Who, Jimmy? What other guys? Like, everyone's playing their role, bro, except you. How much more up can you make Duncan Robinson?
Oh Lord.
He's a 3-point shooter.
Oh my goodness.
He's a 3-point shooter and otherwise a defensive liability. What more up can you make him? If he's open, it's going to go in, bro. Good job. How about you play your role? So that's what I think Pat was responding to, but no one's talking about that. They're just talking about Pat's delivery with what he said, let alone whether what he said had merit or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't really look at Pat as the main problem here. I look at Jimmy as the main problem, in my opinion. And the only place that I will, like I said, come to Jimmy's defense, Jimmy knows the level player he is. Jimmy knows that he's not a Giannis, Kevin Durant type. He's not there, right? So he knows that. So if he behind the scenes was politicking with the front office, let's make this trade, let's do this, let's do that with this free agent, blah, 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 to make the roster better, and he was being ignored, then that's on the organization. I'm gonna rock with Jimmy on that, because the Heat's history has been, we're gonna G League it and we're gonna draft it. And anyone who wants to be here, it's a privilege to be here. So we don't need to be all thirsty trying to get free agents. That's how Pat's rock like that.
I'm sure Jimmy said something about that. But still, it still doesn't give me an ultimate. I don't give it an ultimate pass. Just go out there and play basketball.
Exactly. And I don't give it an ultimate pass, because look at what happened. We wouldn't be. You're saying that because they ignored you, that's why we were a play-in team. That's not why the Heat were a play-in team. The Heat were a play-in team, in my opinion, largely because you took a whole bunch of games off in the regular season.
Yep.
Whether you were physically on the court or not, because you can be in the game and still be taking the game off.
Mm-hmm. I've seen it.
Yes,
I've seen it too many times.
Yes, I'm watching every game and seeing this guy not really look like he cares.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't I don't think Pat was the biggest issue. And it was against the Sixers when Jimmy hurt his ankle last year in the playoffs. So Jimmy hurt his ankle, and then that was all she wrote. It was over with after that. Right, yeah. So April 17th, 2024. So yeah, that was last year's playoffs. So go figure, man. I mean, yeah, I don't really think it's all on Pat. I think Pat has some blame to share in this, but I'm looking at Jimmy for the most part.
Hey man, I'm with that, bro. So I mean, I'll be interested to hear, anybody in the comment section that's interested in what Gil had to say in the standpoint where he feels as though Pat is running, the Heat organization with an iron fist. Me personally, I don't think so. Doesn't sound like JV Wentz thinks that way either. So I'll be interested to hear what y'all say, man, because and what y'all think about Heat culture and all this, Jimmy and all that there. But me personally, man, I've had enough of Jimmy. I appreciated the runs that we had, but at this point, he's overstayed his welcome.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? It just went a little sour for whatever reason. And so I'm not mad that he's on the outs. So I think everybody would be happy about this. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, you can blame Pat Riley all you want. Jimmy Butler wanted out of Chicago. It got bad. Jimmy Butler wanted out of Minnesota. It got bad. Jimmy Butler wanted out of Philadelphia. He got bad. 3 different organizations. And in all 3 instances, Jimmy Butler became a malcontent. There's a common denominator there with Jimmy Butler. Mm-hmm. That to me is not on Pat. Mm-hmm. That's not on Pat. And yeah, we were in the play-in and he messed his ankle up. We were against Philly. We won the game and then we beat the Bulls. And then after that, we played the Celtics and lost. That was what happened there. And who knows what would have happened if he would have been healthy, number one. And I don't know. I just believe in unseen energy and unseen forces, butterfly effect type stuff. Mm-hmm. I really do think that different circumstances yield different outcomes. If we're playing a different team, if we're playing at home, maybe he doesn't get hurt. And we're playing a different team and we're playing at home if we have a higher seed. And we have a higher seed if he doesn't deprioritize the regular season as much. That's just how I look at that. So shouts out to my Miami Heat. I am loyal to the Heat. I'm not loyal to Jimmy Butler or Pat Riley. I am loyal to the betterment of the Miami Heat organization. Jimmy Butler can kick rocks as far as I'm concerned. All I care about is for the Heat to be successful. And we do need to get off this Heat culture stuff because it's a substantiation for putting together mediocre rosters.
I agree. Oh, my goodness.
All right, folks, with that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and close things out. Another great Conscious Approach episode in the books. I am JV Wins. That is Dogon SS. Shouts out to everybody tuning in on the live stream, and shouts out to everybody tuning in on the individual video uploads. We certainly appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, leave a comment. Let us know what you think about the commentary in this or any of our other uploads. We certainly appreciate it. Again, we are on Spotify, we are on Apple Podcasts, we are on Amazon Podcasts. So if you're in the car, you're at the gym, or if you are otherwise not really in a position to check us out on YouTube, watch the video, put the headphones in, listen to the podcast. We are right there as well. Leave a rating. Let us know what you think. Because we here, man. We certainly appreciate it. And we thank everybody else who has subscribed to the channel and shown love and support. We wouldn't be here without you in our little corner of the internet as we continue to carve out the community. And we'll continue to kick this logic. So thank you very much presently. Thank you very much for those who have done so in the past. Thank you very much for those in advance who will follow along with us. As I like to always say, have a mind for yourself. Think for yourself. Don't be a group thinker. Don't be a conformist. Looking forward to the future. Another great episode in the books. We'll catch you on the flip side.
Yeah. And the name is Dogon SS. You can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS, on YouTube, DraftKings, hell, any damn social media platform, Dogon_SS. You're gonna find your boy. Go ahead, hit the subscribe, follow, or whatever it is them there. And as I say on every podcast, all right, don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it calm, keep it chill, keep it real. And don't let anybody get you off your pivot, including those people out there that's trying to make fake news on you. Until the next time, everybody, more rings to Robert Ory. We'll catch y'all on the next episode.
That's right. We are out. We'll holla. Peace. Bro, I can't believe one time I actually said that Jimmy Butler is the second greatest Miami Heat of all time.
You said that.
I
You
said
said
that.
on here.
I completely take that back. I was wrong. I take that back. I was wrong. That is incorrect. In fact, that is fake news. That's fake news.
There you go, right there. The second best one, Tim, right
Yeah,
there.
It's either Tim or Zoe. It's either gonna be Tim or Zoe. It's got to be
Tim,
Tim or Zoe.
It's Tim
But we out. Wahala. Peace.
Peace. Go Canes. Hell yeah. Yeah, you did say that on